Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be covering how you can make thousands of dollars in one session with headshot photography. Let's get into the video right now. What do you think of this landscape photo above the couch? I'm trying to rig a light over it. I hope this will work. But I shot that in Oahu, Hawaii when we were there for our wedding. It was on a military base, and that is my camera sitting on the edge of a rock, trying to get some long exposure shots, but hey, it worked. So if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel because we cover a lot of photography and videography stuff every week. And if you're on this video in particular, you might want to stop and jump to the first one if you haven't seen the first headshot photography video I made, basically covering how to shoot headshots, how I can use a really simple minimalist setup to get really pro results that can kind of get you to the pricing I'm going to talk about in this video. So I'll plug it. Is it here or here? So a little bit of backstory on how I even got into headshot photography and pricing and all of that. Funny thing is that I actually got forced into it. I wasn't planning on doing any type of headshot photography, off-camera flash, that type of stuff. But I was working at a company doing their real estate photography full-time, and once I came on board, they wanted to keep all of their photography in-house, which makes sense. And they were freelancing or outsourcing all of their other photography needs like headshots, event photography, things like that. So whenever we got a couple new agents come on board, I was there maybe like not that long, and they're like, all right, you can do these headshots, right? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So basically the next day I just went and did my homework and tried to quickly learn what I could about headshot photography, and it was bad, really bad. Don't make this mistake. I basically had a flash pointing straight at them. It was off-camera flash, but there was no diffusion like this. Like you see how this light is nice and diffused? It wasn't like that. Imagine a flash just like aiming like this right at them. And it was not soft, it was harsh looking, and we had to redo them. And that was a bit of a learning curve on that. But the great thing about that is that I just quickly advanced in learning how to do those really quick. I then bought my Mac box, which I used in the last video, which is still a great system. Really cheap and inexpensive softbox setup you can use. And I learned how to do it with that and then just started doing headshots. But the cool thing about that was because I was kind of forced to learn it, now I already had examples to show for other people that wanted headshots. So before you start going into headshots, if you don't know about lighting and certain things like that, go check out the video I made where I literally break it down step by step where you can use an easy setup to get awesome photos. So what do you start charging at when you're first starting out? How much do semi-pros make, experienced photographers, and how much do the absolute pros, seasoned, photographers, what do they charge? Let's break that down. And disclaimer, this is not a factual guide that you should completely live by for this type of pricing, because this is like based on my experience on where I started charging to where I am now, and like research for majority of the people doing it in my area and things like that. So do your homework for your area because it might be more valuable. So let's start at the bottom. Whenever you're first getting into it and you don't really know what you're doing, maybe you've done a few shoots and now someone is asking you to do headshots. What do you start at? And the pricing model that I always suggest, especially for headshots, is per photo. So this client is coming to you to get a professional headshot, but where do you start your pricing at? So when I first started, I started charging $50 per photo. So whenever a client saw some of the photos or asked me if I did headshot photography and I sent them my examples, I said, I can do this for $50 per photo. So one edited, retouched headshot, which is honestly what mostly everyone just needs, and $50. So you're probably thinking like, man, that is really low. But at the same time, it's also one photo that you're retouching. It's not like a photo session, and it's not like you have to go through a whole bunch of edits because it's just, retouching one photo. Honestly, can be done within the hour, if that. And also, let me know in the comments if you want a full editing breakdown video for headshots, because it's pretty different from like lifestyle photography and things like that. So let me know below. But that's where I started charging as a beginner, because even though I was like already pretty good at like the other types of photography I was doing, it's something that's really new to me, so I wasn't going to pretend to be a professional in it. Especially because I just now started learning about lighting, and so that's where I started, which was $50 per photo. So I did that for a little bit, and then I actually got more people interested in asking me about headshots. And so then I bumped my price up to $75 after doing a little bit of research, asking some other friends that have done headshot photography. It's been raining here like every day. It's so weird for Houston because it rains like every afternoon now for like the past month, I feel like. It's a bummer for photo shoots. So doing some research in my area, I found that $75 to $85 is a really good average price for kind of like people starting out, still doing headshots. And I did that pricing for a while. So next, let's get into like experienced to like semi-pro pricing, which is kind of like what I would now consider myself because this is what I charge for headshots. I would say that this price range is from like $125 to about $250 per photo. Now, mind you, this is again based on the per photo pricing model, meaning it's still just like one photo. Unless they want multiple, maybe you can give some sort of discount, but for the most part, all of the clients that I've shot typically only want one headshot. So for me, I've honestly been averaging around $150 to $200 for one headshot. Now, this is a professionally retouched photo, you know, using proper gear, lighting to where they get the results that they are wanting. And here's how you can actually give more value to your clients by doing this. You can offer them different variations of that same headshot. So for example, let's say that they take a photo on a backdrop, like a traditional paper roll, gray backdrop, like I did in my example in the last video. You can easily cut them out of the background and now they have a transparent one. You can put a white background behind it, now they have a white one. So you have 3 variations of that headshot you can give to them to make that pricing seem more valuable, not just like, yeah, you get one image. So I always say you get one edited headshot, but I offer it in 3 variations. So you get a transparent version, the backdrop version, and a white background version. The reason that that's super important, which is what I learned where I worked before, is because they want to use that photo for different things, whether it's like social media, their email templates. If it's for a real estate company, they might use it for their signs, any sort of marketing material. So they might want a transparent version or a white version, and then just keep the white background version for social media, their email, things that don't need that. So it's really handy for them because now they don't have to have either someone else do it or their company they're going with do it, which might do a terrible job. So it's just really easy to do that in Photoshop. Again, if you want an editing video, let me know below. And finally, the seasoned professionals, what do they make? And based on the research that I've done and other professionals in my area, they can charge anywhere from like $350 to like thousands of dollars. There really is no cap on it, just like any industry. And so think about it this way, like you're probably thinking like, how do you charge thousands for one image? But think about like actor headshot photographers, professional headshot photographers that have dedicated studios, makeup teams, different looks, all of these things, because it's crazy how far you can go into this stuff. But that's how you can make thousands of it once you are really established and of course doing it for a long time. But for me and my setup, I think this is honestly where I might stay. It's not something that I'm gonna go into like that type of photography. I love off-camera flash stuff. I'm really getting more into that, but more on like the lifestyle portrait side, using off-camera flash. But it's a great source of income because it's a definite need for, you know, any type of professional out there. So I think I'm probably gonna stick in that intermediate range for the time being. Okay, so you read the title of this video and you're probably like, well, how do you make thousands? Because based on this pricing, you have to do tons and tons of photo shoots to get that accomplished. And so the trick is you have to book multiple headshots in one session. Now, this can be possible with a real estate team, a business that just needs a whole new set of headshots, a corporate company that's constantly hiring people. This is where you can really make a lot of money. And this is based on my experience where I actually landed a gig where I made over $5,000 in a couple hours technically, as far as shooting, because it goes by so quick and it was just really well worth it. So based on my experience, I did a shoot where a medical research company reached out to me that's here in downtown Houston, and they needed a whole new set of headshots. Basically, they had hired a whole bunch of new people recently. Their team was drastically expanding super fast, and they're like, hey, we wanna do headshots for the whole team. Because I did one or two, I think, I did a couple for them, and they really liked how that looked, so they wanted to just redo all of them. And the great thing about companies like this is they typically have big marketing budgets where that isn't a big expense for them, and it's something that's going to be drastically beneficial for their business, having like professional cohesive headshots done from one photographer. So we started this process on redoing all of them, and I've probably shot now like 100 or 150 headshots for this company over the past 2 years. And it's been great because you can stick to that same pricing model, but just charge per headshot. So if they book 20, 30, 40 in one session, now you're gonna make a big bulk of money for doing all of these headshots. So the more that you can book in one session, the more you're gonna make, and it's honestly pretty easy. So I know you're thinking like, man, how am I gonna get there? That's like that's so far down the line, but start doing some headshots so then they post it or use them, and then people are gonna ask where did they get that headshot, and then they'll come to you. I honestly suggest starting in the real estate industry because every new agent needs a headshot. There's a whole bunch of teams out there that just don't take professional headshots, and so new realtors especially don't know where to start. So if you can offer that at like that lower end pricing, you can easily build your way up and build up a portfolio while also getting better at your craft, and it'll come after that. And another thing that I know real estate teams do is sometimes they'll do an event where they can sponsor you and have you there, and you can basically have people come up and take a headshot. Now, the only problem with this is they're not going to guarantee like a certain amount of money because it's basically just on whoever comes up to take a headshot, but it's a great opportunity because you'll at least get a couple, if not multiple headshots done right then and there. So now let's get into some bonus tips that can help you get more headshot gigs. Like I kind of mentioned before, try and target bigger companies that are up and coming in your area that may need professional headshots done. One thing you can do is kind of find these companies, go to their website, check out their social media, look at their about page, see if they have headshots done at all, or if they're just not really professional looking. Then simply send them an email with your examples, and then that might be your in. And also think about this, companies and these businesses are always hiring and expanding, so they're gonna need headshots for those people. Chances are they don't have an in-house photographer. And my last bit of advice, which is super important whenever you do end up booking this giant gig of like 50 headshots or something, do one test photo and show it to them, because you want to really make sure that the type of look that they want, this is more on like the last video I made, but I have to mention it in here because it's so important. You kind of have to make sure that the look that they want is what they would want for all of them. You don't want to just assume, oh yeah, they want this cinematic looking headshot with a gray backdrop, when they really might want a more frontal, natural looking headshot with a blurred background or something, and now you've shot them completely wrong. So when I first landed that big gig, my point of contact works at this company, so she was there kind of making sure everything ran smoothly, which was a blessing. So what we did was I did a test shot with her to make sure that was kind of the look that they wanted. They approved of it. They were like, yeah, this looks great. Now we did it for the rest of them. And the last bit of advice is bring an assistant to help you, because there's so many things going on. These things are so fast paced. I remember what I did for the first shoot. It was like 47 headshots. It was a 2-day shoot because I didn't really know what to expect. So I was like, let's do half one day, half another day. I brought my friend Taylor, which you guys know, he's always been on this channel. And having someone there assist you and kind of give you either direction or ideas, or just even help with like gear and lighting and things like that, can be so beneficial. So it's not all on you, because it can be a little bit of stressful because you're doing so many headshots, but it's so well worth it. So that pretty much wraps it up. My final thoughts is that on headshot photography, there is a big opportunity for consistent income because, like I said, it's such a need. Everyone out there, any sort of professional or business or company, needs a professional headshot for either them or their employees. So if you can get into that market, I can assure you that it's gonna be a pretty good source of income for you. And the cool thing about this whole journey is I've really learned a lot more about lighting. I've learned how to use off-camera flash, constant lighting, just more about how lighting affects the image. So if you can understand lighting and use it in your photography and videography, it's gonna make you more valuable as a professional. And this is my new setup right now. This is a beauty dish by Easy Glow. Taylor sent me a link where these were 60% off, and it's double diffused. It's a beauty dish, so it's great for portraits, and I already tested it and the images look so nice. Super soft light, and of course the flash setup. So I'm definitely excited to get more to off-camera flash stuff. I think that some of that stuff is super unique, and it's gonna be even better for headshots. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed, comment down your thoughts, subscribe if you haven't already. I would love for you guys to be part of the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya. Gosh, talking for 30 minutes definitely dries your mouth. I hope you couldn't hear this the whole time through the video. Look at her. She sleeps in the craziest positions. What else we got? I guess I don't have anything else. See ya.